Martell Holt is once again in the middle of a storm, and this time it is not just about television drama or social media back and forth. What's unfolding now is inside the courtroom, where fans are watching closely and asking how long Martell can keep playing games with the system before the consequences finally catch up to him. This is not simply about a divorce anymore. It is not even just about custody. What people are beginning to see is a man clinging desperately to control, trying to pull Melody Shari into his mess again and again, and even using their children as pieces in his larger game. That is what makes this situation so heavy. For years, fans of the show and followers of their story online have seen Martell present himself as confident, charming, and smooth. He has always been quick to change the story when it doesn't go his way, to spin the narrative so that he looks like the victim or the one being wronged. But lately, the mask is slipping. More people are beginning to see the cracks. What once looked like a bitter battle between two exes has now become something darker, something more troubling, because it involves 4 young children who should not be caught in the middle of all this. Fans are frustrated, angry, and in many cases heartbroken because they see the impact this kind of chaos can have on children. And still, Martell seems to carry on as if nothing applies to him. One of the biggest points people are focused on right now is the fact that a judge ordered Martell to get counseling and a full psychological evaluation. This was not a suggestion. This was not a casual recommendation. It was a direct order from the court, written into the legal process to make sure the best decisions were being made for the children. And yet, here we are 2 years later, and Martell has not done it. 2 full years of ignoring something so basic and so necessary, while still showing up in courtrooms trying to argue for his way. Fans cannot believe that this has been allowed to go on for so long. The frustration people feel is not just about Martell, it's also about the system itself. Many fans have said that if Melody had ignored a court order for 2 years, she would have already faced serious punishment. But Martell is still walking around free, still dragging Melody through hearings, still using delay after delay to keep her locked into the cycle. It has people asking how much longer the system will allow him to play games before holding him accountable. It raises questions about fairness and about whether the legal system is protecting the right people in this case. What makes it worse is that instead of focusing on completing the court orders, Martell is busy appealing decisions that have already gone against him. Think about that for a moment. He admitted on camera to sending things he should not have sent. The jury found him guilty. The receipts are out there. And still, he is appealing. For many fans, this only proves one thing: it is not about justice, not about doing what's best for the kids, but about control. That word comes up again and again when people talk about Martell Holt. He wants control over Melody, control over the children, and control over the money. Losing Melody was not just losing a wife, it was losing the person who managed the home, who supported him, who pushed him to do better. And rather than accept that loss, Martell seems determined to keep Melody locked into his world by dragging her through endless legal battles. Every time it looks like things might finally be settled, there is another delay, another filing, another reason to drag the process out even longer. Fans believe this is Martell's way of keeping Melody drained, tired, and distracted, hoping that one day she will finally give up and say, "Fine, take it." But what Martell does not seem to realize is that Melody is stronger than that. Fans often point out how calm and resilient she has been through this entire process. One fan even commented, "Martell just wants Melody to stop fighting. He wants her to give up, but she's not going to do it." And that is exactly right. Melody has shown over and over again that her focus is on protecting her children, her peace, and her future, no matter how many times Martell tries to throw roadblocks in her way. Meanwhile, Martell is trying to play victim in public while creating chaos behind the scenes. It is a pattern that has gone on for years. People are beginning to demand accountability, not just from Martell but from the courts themselves. Because the truth is, if Melody had done the same things, ignored court orders, delayed hearings, filed unnecessary appeals, she would likely have already faced serious consequences. That double standard is what has so many people angry, and it is why some are even calling for the case to be moved out of Madison County altogether. They believe Martell is being given too much slack, and they want to see real consequences. At the same time, Martell is making things worse with his behavior on social media. He often shows off his son with Ariane Curry, the woman he cheated with, proudly posting photos and moments with him. But when it comes to the 4 children he shares with Melody, suddenly he wants strict control over what gets posted and how they are shown. Fans see this as pure hypocrisy. If Martell can proudly show one child, why can't Melody share her children, too? Why should there be a double standard when it comes to the children she carried, raised, and continues to protect? Fans have called this not just unfair but dangerous, because it creates tension, confusion, and more division in a family that has already been through enough. This is why many people believe the situation has gone beyond a simple custody battle. It feels more like psychological warfare. Every delay, every ignored order, every unnecessary appeal seems designed not to solve the problem but to prolong it. For Martell, it might feel like a game. But for Melody and for the children, this is real life. This is their everyday. And the longer it drags on, the more damaging it becomes. What makes this even harder to watch is the fact that the kids are not little anymore. They are old enough to understand what is happening around them. They can hear the arguments. They can read the comments online. They know when their mom is being dragged through the mud. They know when their dad is refusing to take the steps needed to be better. Fans often point out that kids today are far more aware than many adults realize. One comment that stood out said, "Melody, please make sure the kids are protected online because they see everything." That is the heartbreaking reality of this situation. These kids will one day look back and remember exactly who fought for them and who made their lives harder. And then there is Ariane Curry, who is still part of the story whether Martell admits it or not. She was the other woman during his marriage. She is the mother of his child outside of that marriage. And she has publicly disrespected Melody more than once. Despite all of that, Martell continues to include her in his life as though nothing is wrong. Imagine if the roles were reversed, if Melody had a man in her life who constantly disrespected Martell in public. Everyone knows Martell would lose his mind. But when it comes to Ariane, he turns a blind eye. That double standard only makes fans more frustrated because it shows that Martell's actions are not about the children's best interest but about his own pride. This brings everything full circle. Martell Holt does not seem to want responsibility. He does not seem to want growth. What he wants is control. He wants to drag Melody into the courtroom, not because it is good for the kids, but because it keeps him tied to her in some twisted way. It is about pride, about power, and about refusing to let go. That is why fans are saying this is no longer just a divorce case or a custody case. It is something much bigger. The pressure is starting to build, and fans are demanding that real consequences finally come down. No more delays, no more warnings, no more free passes. If Martell continues to ignore the law, then many believe the only way to make him take it seriously is through real punishment. Some are even saying that jail time should be on the table if he refuses to follow the court's orders. Whether you agree with that or not, it is clear that Martell's current behavior is sending a dangerous message, that court orders don't matter, that accountability doesn't matter, and that Melody's peace will never matter to him. The deeper you look into this situation, the more it becomes clear that Martell is trying to play the long game. But the truth is, it is catching up with him. Every excuse, every delay, every ignored order shows that he is not serious about being a responsible father. If anything, it proves Melody's point again and again. While she stays calm and focused, he creates noise and chaos. And in the end, people are seeing who is truly committed to the children's well-being and who is not. What makes this even more painful is knowing that the children themselves are the ones losing the most. While Martell is busy trying to win against Melody, he is forgetting that his kids are the ones who will carry the scars of this fight. Fans continue to remind him that while he thinks he is gaining power, he is actually losing the trust and respect of his own children. The public is watching closely now. The support for Melody grows stronger every day, while Martell's behavior keeps making him look worse. And if the system continues to give him passes, fans will only grow louder in demanding change. 2 years of ignored orders is not something small. It is not something that should be swept under the rug. And until it is addressed properly, this cycle will continue to repeat. At the end of the day, the story of Martell Holt is becoming less about who he was on reality television and more about the choices he is making in real life. The choices to disobey court orders. The choices to drag his ex-wife into endless hearings. The choices to use his children as pawns in a battle of pride. And fans are beginning to see those choices for what they are. Not the actions of a man fighting for his family, but the actions of a man fighting to control what he has already lost.